Hi Faith Life, just wanted to really get this video out to you this week to update you on how we're responding to the latest change in the government guidance, so-called Freedom Day, what that means for us, what we can expect and so on. I think, it's fair to say that these last 18 months haven't been easy for anybody, have they? They haven't been easy for any individual families or even for us as a church, but we've come through this far and we're going to go through the rest of the way. And I say that with an appreciation really that it's also, it's still difficult for some of us, and there's kind of an accumulation of all sorts of concerns and worries and all the rest of it, and some of us are still facing ongoing situations in our family life, our work life and so on. So it's not with a lack of understanding with that, but it's a look into the future. I think it's fair to say that when I heard the government announcements and the way they phrased that and how it was all down to individual choice and all the stuff that we've seen evolve over the last few days since then, I did feel kind of that's the least helpful announcement you could have if you think about it in terms of church life. Because we all have different views and we all have different concerns and we all have different thoughts about everything, and to try and put everybody all together in the same room with all those different thoughts is kind of nigh on impossible, and I think that's fair to say, and it'd be fair to say for every church. One of the things that is really clear from that government announcement is there is a lack of clarity. When you leave everything down to people's choice, that takes away clear guidance. And so what we want to do is try to move forward in a way where there is clarity for everyone, so you can all make your own decisions. But the background to that is to get everybody back in church as soon as we can, as quickly as we can, so that we can celebrate and be together as a family. So that's the background, that's the goal. But we appreciate, and I appreciate, that you need a bit of clarity about how we intend to get there. One of the things that is really challenging for us as church leaders and for churches around the country is the way this stage we find ourselves in. And when you look at the guidance, for instance, that say the Church of England has put out or the Baptist Union has put out, what they've said effectively is it's down to each individual church to decide what they want to do in the context of their own members, in the context of their own buildings. So that doesn't really move us forward too far, because we had a lot of certainty before, and now we've got more freedom, but with that comes less certainty. So just by way of background, let's just remind ourselves some of our core values. Our core value as a church is to be rooted and grounded in love, to be a family who are there for each other, look out for each other and put others before ourselves. So that's a core value. And when you put that in the context of mask wearing, not mask wearing, distancing, not distancing, the priority for all of us as individuals making our individual choices must be that I'm doing this to be loving towards each other. And my understanding, for instance, is that you don't wear masks so much as to protect yourselves as you do to protect other people. It's more helpful for others than it is necessarily for you. So we want to be loving, we want to be caring, we want to put others first, but at the same time we want to get everybody back in church, because that's the right thing to do. And as almost like Boris says, if not now, then when? Because this coronavirus thing, it's not going away. So we have to find a way of working with that without it getting in the way of our own walk with God, our walk as a church body, and our ability to reach others, to worship together, to pray together, to share the word together, and so on. Now, having said all that by way of background, I know that opinions differ as to what we should do. I think we've had lots of opinions expressed to us as leaders, and we respect all those. There are people who are saying, well, I'm not coming back to church until everything returns to normal. Well, then I've got to say to you, if not now, then when? Because we're a long way off ever seeing that. Then there's others who feel, well, I'm not coming to church if I have to wear a mask because it inhibits me during worship. And then there's those who say, I'm not coming to church if everybody's not wearing masks because that's a real problem for me because I'm fearful, I'm anxious, or I don't want it to be a spreader. I don't think that's a loving thing to do. And so we're working with all those constraints. And you probably find yourself in one of those, if not a variation on those. And then you've got thrown into the mix the double jabs, the single jabs, the kids, all the rest of it. So it's not that easy. But as I said on Sunday, the big thing here is not to let anything come between us. Not to get offended with each other, not to get offended about things that might have happened in the last 18 months, or how are you feeling particularly about that. The big thing now is not to let anything come between us and to move forward as a family and a body who get together and meet with each other. Now, so let me try and offer a little bit of clarity, although we're not there yet. I'll just tell you that we're not there yet because we need to have a good look at the venue and how things work within that context. So this Sunday coming up, there will be no change in procedures. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to turn up with your mask. You will be socially distanced. You will wear that mask during worship. However, once you are sat down, providing you are socially distanced, you will be able to take your mask off. So that's a step forward. Now, the reason we're not going wholesale is that it's very difficult to move a little bit further than that to fit in everybody's views and what we'd all like and so on in a way that gets us all back together in the next few weeks and as quickly as possible. So basically the rule is wear masks on Sunday except when you sat down. Once you sat down, provided you're socially distanced, you can wear a mask. If you stood up for any reason, then you wear your mask. Sat down, you don't have to wear it. So that's an element of freedom. Now, here's the thing. One of the things that you might find on Sunday, and again, it needs us to look at the school, to look at how we set this up. So we're going to actually be turning up a bit earlier on Sunday morning, trying to work this out. That's the first time we can get access to school. Is we might have, when you arrive, there might actually be a change in the layout of seating, positioning of the band and so on, because we're experimenting with a few ideas in order to set us up to the next week. And to do that, we need to assess the venue with people in situ. Now, what's really helpful to us there is that if you are unsure about whether you're coming on Sunday or it's a marginal decision, then it's really helpful to us there to get as many people there as possible, because that allows us more of a sense of the dynamics of what we're looking at going forward. So if you can come at all on Sunday, this is the Sunday to come. So then the question is the following week, what do we do there? So what we'll be doing is we'll be sending out another update like this next week, probably around about the same time, and we'll be sending out you details of how that's going to work. But our aim and our plan is to set things up so there should be no barrier to anybody coming back to church. However you're feeling about things, or however you're sensing that you want church to be. Now, that's not easy to achieve, but you know, the reality is we want church to get back to as close as normal with everybody there. And we need to ask ourselves some, really clear questions ourselves, because right now the church is one of the safest environments you can actually go into, and it'll remain that way throughout this. Our aim is to be loving and make sure everybody is able to be comfortable. But when you compare that with things, say, like shopping, going to restaurants, having a drink out, meeting a bunch of friends, going to work, all those sort of things, going to parties, then the way church is set up, it's got to be one of the safest environments around, and our aim is it will continue to be that, but with you guys having to have individual choice about how that works for you. Now, so just a couple more things. One or two people have asked about kids. We still don't have access to the other rooms from the school. Obviously they need to get their procedures sorted out in the light of these new changes, and they won't be able to do that till September. So there'll be no kids till after the summer, although we'll continue to provide stuff for the kids to do the same way as we have been doing the last few weeks. And then, subject to the school's agreement, we'll look to get kids' work back and moving as soon as that's really possible, but it's just not able to say at the moment. Last thing may be what we're going to do with online. Well, online's going to stay online until at least September, so you'll be able to access that. And I know, you know, from my own experience, having had a couple of long weekends recently, it feels kind of nice, doesn't it, to just sit there in your PJs or whatever, switch online on and what. But here's the thing that I felt is it's just not church, and over time it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for the body within our church. It's not sustainable for us to be a church family and connect with each other, and also it's not sustainable for our own spirituality, because we are meant to meet together, we're meant to interact together, and that's just not possible online. So it will stay online, and I realise that some of you are concerned about that, so we'll stay online as long as we can. The problem is that the more flexibility we give in the service, the more we try and make it possible for people to access the service, the kind of clunkier the online experience might become. And so and the technology, you know, it remains a challenge. You know, to look at some of the things we're doing, we're having to invest in some equipment to change things around. But what I want you to think about is, I don't want the fact that we're online to deter you from coming. Because the really important thing is, we love you guys, and we get to see you guys, and we get to meet you guys, and we get to talk to you guys, we get to pray for you, we get to worship together, we get to hear the word together, we get to discuss the word together, and we get back to church as close to normal as we can get it. So where's the summary on this? Well, let's just go back to those first principles. Put others first. In making your own choices about masks and not masks and all the rest of it, take a loving approach into that, looking out for others, and get back to church as soon as possible, and we'd love to see you there. Bless your faith life. We love you.